This is the big one. We are getting a full Doctrine rework in the next Hearts of Iron 4 DLC/patch. That's right. Even if you don't buy the DLC, you will take advantage of this. Let's show the screenshots to begin with, and here we go. That's right. Doctrines are completely getting reworked. They're not going to work the same way they worked before, and you start off with a completely blank slate. No doctrines. This is so unbelievably different. It excites me, but it also really scares me too, because it kind of feels like it's a less complex system than the current game. Now, I could be wrong, but we're going to dig into this, and we're going to make sure we understand it. So since the beginning release of the game, Doctrines have not been touched, just finite tweaks, the addition of special forces, and this is a full Doctrine rework, as mentioned here. This is still a work in progress. This will give players more intentional gameplay experience when it comes to modifying and applying your armed forces. Instead of a single doctrine tree, we're looking at something you could build up and enhance over time by using your armies and equipment practically. Namely, you should strive to put units and divisions on the map and use them in combat situations to actually upgrade their abilities. Oh, so it means, if I'm understanding this wrong, but you will need to do an infantry doctrine and use infantry to level up the infantry doctrine. It isn't just a matter in the old system where you're just leveling stuff up and you're not really practically using it on the battlefield. Oh, that's a good change. Because in the past, you could be a tank-based nation on mobile warfare, have 500 XP banked, and then just move all the way down to deep battle immediately, down to human wave as, I don't know, Germany. I don't know why you would do that, but you can. And with that, you may have never touched a single infantry division, which is just kind of weird, isn't it? Oh, we figured out the infantry doctrine, even though we've never been using infantry, but now all of a sudden we've changed our minds. And for some reason, we fully know how infantry work. Anyway. Let's get to the gritty of it. Behold the new Doctrine screen. Wow! So much space. It looks a bit sad and empty, like a Swedish winter. Follow me along as we fill it up with this during this dev diary. Note the winter, it will never be fixed. I have never visited Stockholm in autumn winter, so I have no idea what they're talking about, but I've heard that the days never get fully lit. Perpetual darkness. Grand doctrines and sub-doctrines. The design and flavor intention of the split is basically to have a grand doctrine that encompasses your intention, a kind of warfare you wish to pursue, and further supplemented by a discrete improvements to units to use the sub-doctrines. Okay, so initially you do pick the grand doctrine. Oh, and here we go. Now we can actually see the old system, which kind of makes me feel a bit sad. I was kind of hoping for a brand new coat of paint, but no, just the 4 standard doctrines. You know, this is the one time in Hoi 4 that I kind of feel like these should be localized and actually show, like, the countries themselves what they called them. You know what I mean? Like, maybe Warfare as Germany would be called Blitzkrieg. I know that's literally not what it was called, but with a localized flair to it, it would kind of give it some character. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so the Grand Doctrine is just basically the first doctrine you select, and it's just the old system based on what we already know. Now we're looking at something different. After you've picked a Grand Doctrine, you get a chance to see what we have available. In this case, we have mobile warfare and trucks. So they've gone for mobile warfare, which is this one, and it is here by the infantry tier. And then as you work down the tiers, there's a hat with a star on it, and looks like there's a new XP system. One thing that I always frustrated me about the Doctrine XP system in Hoi 4 was that unlock doctrines by not really participating in battles is kind of what I said earlier. So you could just bank lots of XP by doing whatever shenanigans and then use that to level up. So it looks like the first one costs 100 XP and it's land XP here. But these ones have got their own flavor of XP. Like these ones here. What is this? It's the university hat. I don't know what it's called with the star. So it suggests some kind of new currency. So what we got here, mobile infantry, defensive postures, large unit tactics. So these are the ones we can select at the top. So this is different. Definitely some interesting ones here with irregulars. That's really cool because irregulars have never got bonuses. So a potential for a doctrine for irregulars. Grand infantry looks different. Individual excellence. That looks really interesting. And also we got the elephant here as well, which is interesting too. Each doctrines focus on sets of tracks. In this case, land doctrines, infantry, combat, support, artillery, etc., etc. So does it unlock all the 4 tiers for just this one? So these are the sub-doctrines, and this is the main grand doctrine, right? Am I understanding that correctly? Starting both grand doctrines and sub-doctrines will cost you army XP, but some bonuses associated with the doctrines are unlocked immediately. You might, however, notice that not all the bonuses are given at once. I mentioned that the doctrines build up and enhance over time. How does that happen? Oh, so it looks like you select the first one and then these unlock over time. Can you see the arrows here moving downwards? So this is like over time, gradually unlocking the next levels. With the lack of player interaction here and not clicking, this is something you might just click and just forget about. So it makes me question if this is like a little bit too set and forget, if you know what I mean. If a player interacts with it, you feel the progression happening. You know, like when you level up in an MMO, you get the ping and you pick your stats and new traits. With this, if it's auto-unlocking and the player's not actually individually involved, I feel like the players might feel disconnected from their doctrines. It does feel kind of RPG though. I'm kind of getting that vibes. I like it so far. In addition to ARM XP, we're introducing a new concept known as Doctrine Mastery, or simply Mastery for short. Mastery is a type of practical experience gains by using units directly. There's also a split per track, so you have units relating to sub-doctrines to actually keep getting mastery. Okay. It auto-unlocks, though, by the looks of things. I don't think you have to click these. And the lack of choices here is a little bit one-dimensional, too. I feel like there should be sub-branches, so I get to make strategic decisions. Once again, I'm a little bit put off by the idea that these just are automatically unlocked. Additionally, you gain smaller amounts through unit training, using military attaches, and through faction sharing. Because of the updates to the way doctrines are handled, you might also find the mastery bonuses lurking in focus trees and decisions. By default, each track is associated with a certain set of mastery generating units and can be overridden per doctrine. Oh man, this really shakes up the meta, this guys, because this could mean that XP becomes redundant. Sure, you'll use a tiny amount of it to make divisions. You make a tiny amount of it for making templates for tanks, but then that leaves a massive gaping hole in how much XP you gain, and it's just going to be sat there doing nothing. Because this would have usually have cost, to unlock all of these, it would have cost hundreds upon hundreds of XP points. Because to get from top to bottom is like 800 XP, 900 XP in total, isn't it? But now we're only picking 100 per category. I'm sure there's 4 categories, so 400 XP seems a lot less. So you can see here the current mastery is 0.17. You gain 1.7 per month. That's quite low. The new reward will be unlocked in approximately 57 months. Okay, that is going to take a really long time to unlock. Mastery is essentially handled by the way of deploying manpower in combat. There are diminishing returns to mastery gain after a certain amount of deployed manpower used in the field. And we've done this especially to make sure minor nations or nations with overall small armies don't get left behind. That's good, proportional, I like that. Generally, however, you should expect majors and large armies to be able to master a bit faster. Okay. The system sports has an arbitrary set of mastery points to reach per level, but you'll find that most in-game bonuses require a similar amount. It keeps things a bit more digestible. For each mastery level you can attain in a doctrine, you can gain further bonuses to the units as you progress down the tree. So here we go, mastery banking. Oh, so it does look like you have to click them because it banks it here. Of course, additional mastery can be stored even without a sub-doctrine to an extent. If you have one fully mastered already, you don't necessarily lose out on using troops before you can invest into sub-doctrines. Okay, not quite fully understanding what that means, but it intrigues me because it tells me these points, if you store more of them, you don't necessarily lose them. Completing doctrine tracks will be your interest, not only for your own bonuses, but also how you enhance your grand doctrine. Each track is necessary with a milestone, which gives additional direct related to your grand doctrine. So this is a mastery for superior firepower, which is the classic one that we're already familiar with, which increases the brigade size, +1 battalion per division. Plan preparation decay rate. Ooh, that would be really strong for multiplayer boyos, because they like to manually micro, and you decay planning bonus significantly quicker when you manually micro. That's really, really interesting. The fully flushed out doctrine tree, there are of course air and naval doctrines too. We'll also fill out our 4 tracks with various sub-doctrines, all progressing towards their final reward, along with the unlocked milestone of our grand doctrine. So you can see here, mobile warfare, unlocking as we go. Is that the XP that's banked? Or is this progress so far? I'm not sure. I'm not too happy that these icons are just chess pieces. Wouldn't it be kind of better to make them more customizable, maybe? Fire concentration. So this is like superior firepower, but with mobile doctrine. I like there's ways a little bit more customization to the grand battle plan now, which is interesting. Streamlined deployment. Fair enough. And then grand assault. Okay, cool. There's not much to read here. It's nice to see it in full flow, but it's kind of hard to imagine how the final product will work. My only fear is that if there's a lack of player interaction and it's one of those set and forget features, I feel like it's a step down from our current setup, which requires players to keep track of their XP and upgrade them as they go. I do like how you select them and they upgrade over time. There needs to be a time progression element, not just this click, 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 and you've adopted all these new doctrines. I like that they progress over time Once again, I do feel like the player needs to have more involvement in them to feel connected to that feature. Once again, I'll say it for the third time. If this is set and forget, this is going to be a worse system than what we've currently got. Also, the officer core window, which is interesting because officer cores tie into doctrines. There's a bunch of officer cores that are only unlockable based on going different doctrine trees. So as part of the upgrades, the officer core window and the doctrine representation, the doctrine icon changes in a small fashion as you unlock. Oh, wow, this is a really good opportunity for loads of secret officer core bonuses locked between different combinations. This is a very far out reference, but can you remember Heroes of Might and Magic? And when you mix different skill sets for your heroes, they would have a different class that would unlock, like Necromancer, based on mastering certain perks. And there were like so many different class combinations by mixing them. It'd be kind of cool if, depending on the different mixing of different sub-doctrines, they're going to unlock loads of different tiers of officer core. I'm sorry, that was a far out there reference there, guys. Just showing my age for a second. Now you know how old I am. It says 102 XP here. Is this implying how much the XP will cost? Is that where the extra XP is going to be distributed in future? So all that excess XP that we never would have taken advantage of, this is where it's going to end up going? I have so many questions. So we're looking at the updates, some of the army spirits. Yeah, some of them are a bit dated. I feel like it's some of them are a little bit like, wow, that's really underpowered. I'll never click that. And then there are some ones that are niche, and there are some that are no-brainers. And I feel like that I always default to the no-brainers. So there's more milestones that will tie into the sub-doctrines, which is awesome. Some army spirits are unlockable only when you complete the sub-track. Oh, that's so cool. I always said that about officer core doctrines. They need to be less about the first tier that you select, like Grand Battle Plan, and more about the final destination. Then you've got something rewarding that pays off the end. You know, like when you play an RPG, I'm sorry, lots of other references to the different games here. When you get to level 6 in your MOBA game, naming no names, you unlock an ulti, don't you? So it'd be kind of cool if when you unlock one of these tiers, you unlock an ulti officer core. It doesn't have to be OP, but it just needs to be something different to feel like it's a reward for progressing down the tree. I suppose in that element, it removes that element of set and forget, doesn't it? Because you have something to work towards and then you know about it. As long as the game communicates really well with you when you're unlocking these tiers, and then the player gets that feedback saying, yes, you unlocked tier 4 of mobile infantry. With that in mind, you get that nice, good feeling. You get that good feeling of dopamine knowing that, I've unlocked that tier. Now I can progress down my officer core, for instance. Also, the changes to how doctrines work messes with XP use. Having additional syncs for these currencies is certainly welcome. So, for example, of completing mobile warfare, an infantry sub-doctrine might unlock the bayonet strength spirit. FYI, if bayonet spirit is the one you unlock, that's going to come so late that this spirit, if it's under its current attributes, what it currently does, which gives 10% extra XP gain for using infantry, and it means making infantry doctrines free, then in that circumstance, this will come so late that it'll be completely useless. I've always said that from a balance perspective. I understand there's a lot of people out there who love Hoi 4 for a historical game. I think balancing is very important, and once again, a bonus that you unlock later in the game should feel rewarding based on your playstyle. I always use this as an example. A construction bonus in 1936 for 10-20% construction is very, very strong. It allows, let's say, Italy to build a lot of infrastructure significantly quicker early in the game. But however, 50% construction for, I don't know, civilian factories in 1944, 50% is a big number, but we're in 1944 at this point, you know? The game's developed, and having to step back from mills or whatever you're working on, warlike construction, to civvies. Once again, I'm coming into the element of a balancing perspective. Once again, I have no problem with this as long as they update the spirits to reflect on what bonuses you'll get at certain points in the game. This rework might drop as a bit of a surprise, but I hope it feels like a pleasant and a positive one, and there's still a lot of ways to go. This is fundamentally one of the biggest changes to Hearts of Iron 4 in a very, very long time. There are some elements that excite me, like the exploration factor of clicking on these sub-doctrines. That's very, very exciting. The ability to be more flexible with your doctrines is super, super exciting. Once again, my only fear is some of these bonuses may be underwhelming as you progress through the game, and I'm a bit worried that if there's lack of player interaction, players might just pick these and forget about them, which kind of defeats the purpose of them. And I'm also kind of worried about balancing late game too, where some of the officer cores might have really underwhelming bonuses to be only unlocked later in the game. Because once again, just think about it for a second. Making a division template free, like the mobile warfare one, is great in the 1930s. But the 1940s, you don't tend to be modifying division templates as much. So of course, in 1930s, very strong. 1940s, not so strong. Do you get me? Do you get me? Do you get me? Do you get me? Comment below if you get me. Guys, don't forget, if you want to see more of these videos are going to get very spicy for the next few weeks, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to comment below. YouTube will present more of these kind of videos to you. And of course, if you want to stay on track to make sure you get these videos before anyone else, don't forget to hit the bell. And when the new video comes through, I'll feed you this delicious content, first class, business class, directly to your phone, tablet, laptop. All right, guys, see you soon. Love you. Bye.